When it comes to the Second World War, for some reason many people blame Hitler alone for everything. But he had companions. And what a lot of them. Benito Mussolini. This is not an excuse for Adolf, but it is with Mussolini that the concept of fascism must be associated. In Germany, to be precise and substantive, there was National Socialism. Benito Amilcare Andrea Mussolini was born on the 29th of July 1883 in the village of Govia, today part of the town of Predappio in the province of Emilia-Romagna. The name of the future dictator and conqueror was given by his father in honor of the famous Mexican president Benito Juarez, and also in honor of the Italian socialists Andrea Costa and Amilcare Cipriani. Benito's mother was a village teacher and his father was a master blacksmith and carpenter. From an early age, Benito Mussolini was involved in politics by his father, who shared socialist views. Father and son attended rallies and meetings, wrote articles and proclamations. At the age of 9, Benito Amilcare was sent to school at a convent in Faenza. After 3 years he was kicked out because of discipline problems. With great difficulty, in 1901 Benito graduated from high school and took a job as a junior high school teacher in Pieve Salis II. He devoted all his free time to political activity, actively participating in the work of the local Socialist Workers' Committee. To avoid being drafted into the army, Mussolini in 1902 emigrated first to Switzerland and then to England. Benito Mussolini's military service could not be avoided. After internment from Switzerland in November 1904, he became a private in the 10th Infantry Regiment, based in Verona. After demobilization in the autumn of 1906, Mussolini returned to Predappio, where he soon became deputy headmaster of the school. He was arrested twice by the authorities for his political activities. From 1909 Benito Mussolini took up journalistic activity, working as a correspondent and editor for various publications. In December 1912, he was appointed editor-in-chief of the newspaper Avanti, the official publication of the Socialist Party of Italy. In August 1915, Mussolini was drafted into the war and sent to the Isonzo River region. He joined an elite infantry unit, the Bersaglieri Regiment. In February 1917, with the rank of corporal, he was demobilized after a severe leg wound. He subsequently had to wear orthopedic shoes. With the end of World War I, Mussolini finally became disillusioned with socialism. In March 1919 in Milan he created the organization Italian Union of Struggle, which in November 1921 was transformed into the National Fascist Party. Its popularity was so great that on the 27th of October 1922 the fascists organized a march of many thousands on Rome. The weak-willed King Victor Emmanuel did not risk suppressing this rebellion and 3 days later appointed Mussolini as prime minister. On the 31st of October 1926, under Mussolini's pressure, a new law was passed giving the government the right to issue laws without prior parliamentary approval. On the 24th of December, the administrative and political institutions of the Italian democratic system were abolished. Thus Benito Mussolini, now called Duce, concentrated in his hands the entirety of executive power. Formally, he was responsible for his actions only to the king. On the 20th of July 1932, Mussolini assumed the leadership of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. From that time onwards Italy was on the path of aggression and wars of conquest. Mussolini dreamed of creating an Italian empire, including the entire Mediterranean coast, as it was in the heyday of the Roman Empire. The Duce modestly called himself the last great Roman. In October 1935, Italy launched an invasion of Ethiopia. The Italian army had modern aviation, battle fleet, armored vehicles, artillery, while the Ethiopian militias only had outdated small arms or only spears. Nevertheless, with great difficulty, the Italians did not manage to occupy the main areas of Ethiopia until the summer of 1936. Mussolini declared the capture of the African state the greatest victory and the second birth of the Roman Empire. On the 7th of April 1939, Italian troops seized Albania. On the 22nd of May of the same year, Hitler and Mussolini signed an agreement on the defensive and offensive alliance between Germany and Italy, creating the infamous aggressive fascist Axis Berlin-Rome. On the 10th of June 1940, when the main forces of France and England were defeated by Germany, Italian troops crossed the French border near the Alps. The Duce threw 32 of his best divisions against the French, but even with a six-fold superiority in manpower and equipment, the Italians were not able to achieve notable successes. Already after the surrender of France on the 25th of June, Mussolini detached from her area of Nice. On the 7th of August 1940, Italian troops began the invasion of British Somalia, and a month later, in Libya and Egypt. On the 28th of October, the Duce began the invasion of Greece. This was the peak of Italian expansion. The new Italian Empire had reached its greatest power and was steadily losing it at a rapid pace. The campaign to invade Greece was a complete failure. The Italians were defeated and thrown back. Only Hitler's attack on Greece in April 1941 saved Italy from an ignominious defeat, but the Führer did not allow the Duce to participate in the occupation of Greek territories. Italian forces in Libya were also defeated by the British, and only the arrival of Rommel's corps allowed the Italians to hold out in North Africa until May 1943. The British also defeated the Italians in Ethiopia and Somalia. By the spring of 1943, the Italian units sent by Mussolini to participate in the war against the USSR had been destroyed or had completely lost combat capability. On the 10th of July 1943, the war came to Italy itself. The Allied Anglo-American troops began a successful landing in Sicily. It was now clear to everyone that the fascist regime and the Duce were doomed to defeat. On the 25th of July, Mussolini was arrested by the new government headed by Marshal Badoglio, and the Italian Fascist Party was dissolved. While the fate of the Duce was being decided, he was kept in the Hotel Albergo Rifugio in the Apennine Mountains. Hitler, with the help of his best saboteur, Colonel Scorgeni, managed to steal Mussolini on the 12th of September and take him to Berlin. The Führer insisted that the Duce headed the government of northern Italy, where there were German troops. Thus Mussolini became the puppet ruler of the Italian Social Republic. His last months of life he spent under heavy guard with his mistress Carla Petacci, writing his memoirs. Any noticeable role in foreign policy Duce no longer played. In the spring of 1945, the Allied forces were rapidly advancing to the new residence of Mussolini. On the night of the 27th of April, he and his mistress were caught by partisans while trying to cross the Swiss border. Fearing that the Allies might keep Mussolini alive, the partisans shot the Duce and his companion on the 28th of April 1945 on the outskirts of the village of Messagra. The dead bodies of Mussolini and Petacci were mutilated by the crowd and then transported to Milan, where they were hung upside down for public viewing at a petrol station near Piazza Loreto. Benito Mussolini is a typical failed conqueror, whose exorbitant imperial ambitions led to the complete collapse of both Italy and the Duce himself. Lacking the talent of a military leader, lacking proper political experience, exalting and overestimating his own modest capabilities, Mussolini plunged Italy into the abyss of the Second World War. The Italian people paid a high price for the tragic decisions and mistakes of the dictator. About 400,000 soldiers and up to 60,000 civilians died during Mussolini's rule.